A Hopi Elders' terrifying prophecy comes true. Fire will rain from the sky. This is not just another crazy weather event. This is something straight out of a nightmare. And when I tell you about all the details, you will agree with me. On the 26th of December, in 2021, residents of a small town called Yarnell in Arizona woke up to a scene that looked like something from the end of the world. It was a day like any other, but the weather forecast predicted some rain for the next day. So people went about their business as usual. But the next morning, they found that their entire town was covered in thousands of little fires. Cars were on fire, homes were on fire, grasslands were on fire. It was like a war had been fought in the middle of the night. But no one had done this. No one could figure out what had happened, and it was until that night when the National Weather Service issued a statement explaining what was happening. According to them, the town had been struck by something called fire whirls. These are basically fire tornadoes. They look like regular tornadoes, except that instead of water, they are made of burning debris. And these fire whirls can reach heights of up to 100 feet and a temperature of more than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine being inside a tornado. Now imagine that tornado being made of fire. That is how scary this must have been for the residents. But what led to this catastrophe? What caused the fire whirls to attack the town? To understand this, we will have to go back to the beginning. December is winter in Arizona. The state had been suffering from a terrible drought. The lack of rain had turned the land into a tinderbox, and it would only take a spark to turn it into a wildfire. The good news was that there was a storm approaching. The bad news was that it was going to bring strong winds and lightning. Lightning is one of the main natural causes of wildfires. And unfortunately, there was nothing that people could do about it. The best thing would be if the lightning hit the dry land away from human settlements. But as we saw, that did not happen. The lightning started wildfires in several places. One of these places was Yarnell. The fire started quickly, but it did not spread fast. For the first few hours, the fire stayed relatively small, and the local firefighters were able to keep it under control. But then something unexpected happened. A strange wind started blowing through the area. The wind picked up burning debris and formed it into swirling columns, which is how the fire whirls were born. Strong winds caused these fire whirls to grow rapidly. In no time, they were dozens of feet tall and as hot as 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. When they touched a structure, they would burn it down in seconds. This is why people woke up to such devastation. The fire whirl destroyed over 100 buildings and killed 19 people. Now, this is a tragic story, but it is far from over. There is something else that makes this event truly terrifying. It has to do with an ancient prophecy. Long before the fire whirl struck Yarnell, an elder of the Hopi tribe had foreseen this disaster. The Hopi live in Arizona, and they have been there for centuries. During all this time, they have preserved their traditions and passed down stories about the future. According to these stories, the Hopi Elders saw the fire coming. He saw how the drought would make the land dry and vulnerable, and how the lightning strike would start a massive wildfire. He also saw the strong winds and how they would form the fire into terrifying whirls. But he also saw how these firebenders would suddenly stop and how the rains would come. According to the prophecy, after the fire comes, the rain. The Hopi elder told the locals about his prophecy, but no one took him seriously. People don't usually listen to old people, especially when they talk about things like prophecies. But this time, the Hopi elder was right. After the fire came the rain. In the days following the tragedy, meteorologists discovered that the fire whirls had melted a layer of ice in the upper atmosphere. This created conditions for clouds to form and rain to fall. In fact, the rain continued for weeks. As I'm sure you've guessed, this was not a normal rain. All that rain contained ash and debris from the fire, so it looked more like gray rain than actual rain. Still, it was a relief to see the rain. After all, it had ended the drought. It had put out the fire. Now people were looking forward to a new beginning, but unfortunately, this is where the prophecy gets dark. The Hopi elders said that after the rain, darkness would follow. In other words, after the good things, bad things would happen again. And once again, he was right. As the rain fell, it washed toxic substances into the nearby river. The water was contaminated, and the animals living in it died. Then people realized that the elders' prophecy was true. They had suffered from fire, and now they were suffering from the aftermath of the fire. Even though the prophecy had come true twice already, people still didn't believe it. They thought the elder was just trying to scare them, so that he could seem important. But here's the thing. The Hopi tribe has a long history of making accurate predictions. Back in the 1980s, the tribe's chairman Thomas Banyosia predicted a major flood in the region. Once again, he was proven right. Another time, the Hopi predicted a severe drought. Again, they were right. So why didn't people listen to them? Well, it's hard to say. Maybe people just don't want to believe in prophecies, even when they come true. Maybe they think it's better to live in the present moment and worry about the future later. Whatever the reason, the Hopi people have been ignored for too long. Thomas Banyasia, the chairman of the tribe, says that his people have always warned outsiders about the dangers of climate change, but no one listened. They thought the Hopi were just superstitious or crazy. Now it's clear to everyone that the Hopi were right all along. The climate is changing, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. Thomas Banyosa says that the changes he has seen in his lifetime are unlike anything his ancestors have witnessed, and he warns that if the world doesn't change its ways, it won't be long before the next prophecy comes true. According to the elders, the worst is yet to come. There will be another great fire, but it will be much bigger than the last one. It will be so big that it will destroy everything. This fire will be called the Great Purification, and it will kill most of humanity. The surviving humans will have to flee to the Rocky Mountains, where the Hopi people will help them rebuild civilization. Now obviously this sounds insane, but it's not entirely impossible. Scientists predict that a massive wildfire will hit the western United States sooner or later. They call it the Big One, and they expect it to be the worst wildfire in history. It will burn for months and destroy everything in its path. It will also release so much carbon dioxide that it will affect the global climate, so the Hopi prophecy may come true in the future. For now it's just a prediction, but who knows what the future holds. The Hopi people are taking this prophecy very seriously. They know that they can't control the future, but they can prepare for it. That's why they're teaching their children about the prophecy and how to survive the Great Purification. The kids are taught how to find food and water in the mountains and how to build a shelter. They're also taught how to defend themselves against animals and other humans. Some people might think this is extreme, but the Hopi have no other choice. If their way of life is to continue, then they need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. The Hopi people have a lot of wisdom to share with the world, and it's time that we listened to them. We should be paying attention to people who have a deeper connection with nature, because they have a lot of valuable knowledge that we can learn from. If we had listened to the Hopi elders, maybe we could have avoided the Yarnell Hill fire, or at least prepared for it. Maybe we can still avoid the Great Purification, if we listen to the Hopi and change our ways. But as long as we keep ignoring their warning, we've heard about this before, but could it be happening right now? And Hopi elders' terrifying prophecy comes true. Fire will rain from the sky. The elders of the Hopi tribe have warned us time and again of a coming apocalypse that will melt the polar ice caps, flood the world and unleash the wrath of Mother Earth. And while they didn't go into detail about what exactly was going to happen when the apocalypse came, some of their prophecies are eerily similar to what we're seeing in the sky right now. Are the Hopi elders' warnings finally coming true? Is fire literally raining down from the sky? Keep watching to find out. You won't want to miss this. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button for more videos. The elders of the Hopi tribe have been warning us about an impending apocalypse for years. Some believe that these warnings are simply superstitious nonsense. Others, however, think there may be something more to them than meets the eye. Could these prophecies foretell a future that we should all be worried about? In this video, we'll take a look at some of the most terrifying predictions made by the Hopi elders and discuss whether or not they are coming true. So make sure to watch until the end to find out. When people talk about the end of the world, most people think of a nuclear holocaust or some other man-made disaster. However, the Hopi elders predict that the apocalypse will be caused by natural forces beyond our control. Specifically, they say that the polar ice caps will melt, causing massive flooding, and that Mother Earth will become enraged by the way humans have treated her and unleash her fury upon us. While it may seem far-fetched that such a thing could actually happen, recent events make it seem like the Hopi elders' warnings may be more accurate than we ever imagined. One of the most unsettling prophecies made by the Hopi elders is that fire will rain from the sky. Now when you first hear this, you might think that they were referring to a biblical event where God rained fire and brimstone down from the sky to punish the wicked. But the Hopi elders' prophecy is much more vague than that. In fact, they don't specify what the fire is or why it's raining down from the sky. However, given the current state of our world, we can only imagine that the fire in question is the result of global warming and climate change. After all, rising temperatures have already caused more wildfires in recent years than ever before. And with the melting of the polar ice caps, who knows what kind of damage it could do to our planet. It's as possible that the Hopi elders were referring to a specific event when they made this prediction, or it could be a general warning about the dangers of climate change. Whatever the case may be, it's clear that the fire in question is not a good thing. Another disturbing prophecy made by the Hopi elders is that water will also fall from the sky, but unlike the rain, which would typically be seen as a good thing, the water in question is said to bring nothing but destruction. The Hopi people are known for their unique and intricate basketry, which often depicts religious themes. One such basket tells the story of the Great Flood, which is also mentioned in the Bible. In the Hopi version of the flood story, however, the people are warned of an impending disaster by means of a dream. The dream tells them that water will fall from the sky, destroying everything in its path. As a result, the Hopi people build a great boat and escape the destruction. Now, while this may seem like just another flood story, there's more to it than meets the eye. The Hopi people are said to have received this warning thousands of years ago, yet it seems eerily similar to what we know about the beginning of our planet. Scientists believe that the Earth was formed when a giant cloud of gas and dust collapsed and began to spin. This spinning motion caused the material to flatten at the poles and bulge at the equator. As a result, the Earth is not actually a perfect sphere, but rather is wider at the equator than at the poles. Could it be that the Hopi people were actually witnessing the formation of our planet through their dreams? If so, then their prophecy of water falling from the sky and bringing destruction could very well be coming true. Another interesting prophecy made by the Hopi Elders is that the stars will fall. Now, when most people hear this, they think of a meteor shower or some other astronomical event. However, the Hopi Elders' prophecy is a bit more ominous than that. They say that the stars will fall and the world will be thrown into chaos. Now, there are a few ways that this could be interpreted. Perhaps the Hopi Elders were referring to a literal fall of the stars, which would certainly cause a lot of chaos on Earth. Or maybe they were using the stars as a metaphor for something else, like the collapse of society or government. Either way, it's clear that this prophecy doesn't bode well for the future of humanity. If the stars are literally falling from the sky, then we're in for a world of hurt. But if the stars are just a metaphor, then it means that things are about to get really bad here on Earth. Another disturbing prophecy made by the Hopi Elders is that the animals will die. Now, when you first hear this, you might think that they're talking about a specific event, like a mass extinction event. However, the Hopi Elders' prophecy is much more vague than that. They don't specify which animals will die or why. However, given the current state of our world, we can only assume that they are referring to the countless animals that are currently going extinct due to human activity. Climate change is one major factor contributing to the loss of animal species worldwide. As temperatures rise, habitats are destroyed and food sources dwindle, making it harder for animals to survive. It's possible that the Hopi Elders were referring to this when they made their prediction, or it could be a warning of something even more dire. Maybe the animals are dying because they're picking up on something that we're not. After all, they rely on us for survival. So if anything happens to us, chances are they'll be affected too. Another possibility is that the animals are dying because they're being affected by the same environmental toxins that are affecting us. We know that pollution has had a negative impact on human health, so it's not hard to imagine that it could be doing the same to animals. If that's the case, then the Hopi Elders' prophecy could be coming true in more ways than one. Not only are animals dying because of human activity, but they're also dying because they're being exposed to the same toxins that are killing us. Whatever the case may be, it's clear that the Hopi Elders' prophecy is coming true in some respects. Animals are dying all around us, and there's not much we can do to stop it. Perhaps the most disturbing prophecy of all, though, is that the Hopi people themselves will be wiped out. Now, obviously that's not a prediction that anyone would want to hear, but it's especially troubling given the fact that the Hopi people have been around for centuries. They've survived wars, famines, and disease outbreaks, so it seems unlikely that they would be able to survive whatever it is that is coming next. However, the Hopi Elders' prophecy is so specific that it's hard not to take it seriously. They say that only a handful of Hopi people will survive the apocalypse, and that the rest will be wiped out. Given the current state of our world, it's not hard to see why they might think this. We're on track to cause our own extinction, and there's no telling what kind of disaster we're in store for. Whatever it is that's coming, though it seems like the Hopi people are doomed. So what does it all mean? Are the Hopi Elders' prophecies coming true, or are they just full of hot air? Well, only time will tell. But in the meantime, we should probably start worrying. After all, if the fire is literally raining down from the sky, then we're in for a world of hurt. Let's just hope that we can avoid the worst of it. What do you think? Are the Hopi Elders' prophecies coming true? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button for more videos. Thanks for watching.